Okay,
Okay, record is on.
thank you. Welcome everybody to whatever number to the July 15th meeting of the Citizens Naming Committee for Lindbergh School. Thank you, Chelsea Tubbs, our staff, for turning on the recording so that we are available to the public. And first and foremost, another giant thank you to Chelsea. She has worked a bajillion hours in the last week or two with our wonky computers, getting the scores straightened out and finding the ones that we already had filled out, but somehow went MIA, and she dug those up and got them straightened out for us. And juggling the two schools at a time and figuring out where we are. And she's fresh off Elvium that came up with their 10 last night, which you can see in the detailed agenda. And got a few hours of sleep before she got up and finished all of ours today. So you'll be seeing that we will be sharing what our scores were in a few minutes too. So our agenda and our plan was kind of set, but given that Elvium went last night and Chelsea said they followed a kind of a process that worked really neatly and well, I'm going to invite her to do that for us as well so that we can very efficiently get down to ours. A couple announcements. I don't remember which emails went to whom in the flurry that has been the last couple of days. But consistent with policy 6700, we need to have a public hearing and then keep the record, so to speak, open for 14 days before we make our final decision of getting it down to four names that we submit to the school board. And that public hearing is now scheduled for a week from tomorrow, July 23rd. And the Elvium public hearing is from 6 to 7. There's a little break, right, Chelsea, from 7 to 7:30. And then the Lindbergh public hearing is from 7:30 to 8:30. We have no role in that other than to listen. We don't have to be there. I don't, as a matter of fact, I unfortunately cannot be there. Chelsea will be running the show for the public hearing. Within 24 hours of that public hearing, it will be up on the website. And so I would ask that all of us listen to that 1 hour public hearing. I have also volunteered during my listening to take notes on it so that I can give you a report of who said what. But of course, it's always better to hear the people themselves, how much, whatever they put into their comments. Also, then there will be 14 days after the 23rd. So that I think we decided was August 6th at 8:30 p.m. The open comment period will end at that point, and then that means people can call in their comments, write in their comments, email in their comments. I don't think we're taking comments from Facebook, but we'll probably be aware of them or whatever. And the communications team at MMSD, after we finish our work today, is going to start messaging out to the community what the lists have been whittled down to, remind people about the public hearing, how they can participate if they can't make the hearing or don't want to be on the hearing, which of course is all Zoom, how they can write in, call in, etc. in, so that they have their chance. When that door closes, that window closes on August 6th, then Chelsea and I will be compiling the comments from there and giving you all kind of a readout of what came in those comments too. Again, we'll ask you to read those. We'll be working on those on Friday, August 7th, and hopefully get them to you no later than Monday, August 10th. So we're ready for our meeting on August 12th to whittle our names down to the four that we'll be sending on to the school board. Did I get any of that wrong, Chelsea?
Not wrong. There's some slight variations, but that's okay. We'll go through it again piece by piece. So, yeah.
Okay, so
And
that's
Betsy's also operating in this knowing it's a quick turnaround too. So much gratitude for you, Betsy. Our chairs have been amazing in helping to solidify this process.
so, this is thanks. This has been new, doing it duo at a time in the heat with a staff person for whom this is the first time through. There have been a couple bumps along the way, but we've all been gracious with each other. And I think you'll see, to use a flyer lingo, we're coming in for a smooth landing. So And we will soar, or whatever you say over there, Tiffany and Robert, to make it happen. So I'm going to turn it over to Chelsea now. You see that the detailed agenda is in the chat. You put it in there twice. It's this,
Couple times because I know some people hopped on, so it should be in there. If you don't have access, anyone let me know if you need access, but it should be in the chat for you.
okay. And the fact that I should say the fact that we may come up with some names that are already on the Elvium top 10 is not a problem. Yeah, the school board, even if some of our four is on their four, is not a problem. I guarantee you our school board is smart enough to not name two schools the same name. So if they really like one name, they're going to have to pick one school that it goes on and pick a different name for the other school. So no worries, but we'll be done before Chavez, and then any names that get into that are ultimately picked for our top four, maybe another four as Chavez is, because the school board's doing all three that their final night, right, Chelsea?
Yes, they are.
Okay, so some names may be on all three, but we're looking at it somewhat independently. Well, for sure independently. Okay, take it away, Miss. What is that you're wearing? Lemons? Okay, she's
It is lemons. I'm giving some kind of like European vibes, right?
so
Right.
make the lemonade and let's go.
All right, here we go. So thank you everyone for having your first and last names. I'm going to quickly do roll call so that we can make sure everyone's present. So when I call your name, please say present. Betsy Abramson,
Present.
Bernicia Crump, Diamond Thomas, Angie Swanson,
Present.
Fred Gantz,
Present.
Katie Hole, Mary Hembecker,
Present.
Dan Youngerman.
She's on mute, but I can see her.
Yep, I could see her too.
I can read lip reading.
Thanks, Nan. Robert Roth,
Present.
Hannah McKinney Baldwin, Tiffany Feed,
Present.
and present with friends. All right. Tyrone Davis Jr., Cynthia Moore,
Present.
and Ken Stancer. All right. Thank you, everyone. And so for today, we have no public comment that were registered to speak to us, and there were also no written statements for public comment. So I'm heading towards the bottom of page 3 if you're following along. If not, that's fine. So I'm now at the top of page 4. Our homework was to have all names scored, and you all are amazing. We got them all in. Oh my gosh, all 55 were done. You all are truly
51
phenomenal. 51, thank you. I got so many different numbers in my head. 51, yes. Y'all are phenomenal. And I do have to give like a special shout out to Angie and Cynthia because they were our late additions to our committee to help make sure we had quorum. So their timeline was even tighter. And so thank all of you, and thank you too like so much because we got it done. So with that, just a quick reminder of our ways of working, and I'm just going to go through our 11 as a refresher for us. 1, everything we do is anchored in policy 6700. 2, we prepare before you arrive, which you all did, superstars. 3, we share the floor, and that will be really important when we go into discussion. 4, we respect our diverse perspectives. 5, no walking quorums. 6, one unified voice with whatever list we produce at the end of this meeting. 7, absolute duty to disclose. 8, trust the process. 9, protect data integrity. 10, respect the plaque. And 11, bring positive, liberatory, and joyful energy. All right, so I'm going to go through what Betsy said too and just break it down a little more. So the meeting change. So I want to thank both Betsy and Dan. Dan is our chair for Alvium. They pushed me and it was the right push. Our original master calendar had the public hearing happening this week. And I am under this tight timeline because August 24th is the only board vote we have before the end of the year. And we have Lindbergh and Alvium have been waiting now 4 years for a renaming. And we have to do this. And it's important that we do it before the start of the year. Our students should not be going to a school named after a Nazi sympathizer. Our students should not be going to a school named after someone who contributed to our racist covenants. Our students should not be going to a school with someone who's been accused of sexual assaults of children and women, right? And so that's where this urgency comes. So thank you all for being with us on this accelerated timeline. With the accelerated timeline, and I was kind of nervous about it anyways, and Betsy and Dan confirmed it for me. For people to rearrange their schedules to be present for a hearing, a 24, 48-hour notice is just not feasible for high engagement for our community. Also, too, for people to be able to process the names, really think through them. And so we made the decision, and Betsy already previewed, the public hearing is actually going to be next week. And so our final list of names will be up on the website by end of day tomorrow. I'm going to give you all instructions as far as how you can find it and how we can direct the public to find it. And when we think about outreach, they'll have a whole week to process those names, think through those names, start providing written statements. They can do that right away, all through the website. And then they can sign up right away too for public comment. Public comment works the same way as it does in board meetings. So the public hearing does have to be live streamed. Legal has informed me. So what that will look like is that it will be a YouTube in which anyone can watch it live. The only folks who will be in the Zoom with me are those who signed up for public comment. They'll have up to 3 minutes for public comment. The hearing for Lindbergh is 6:30 to 7:30 that night. So I don't know if people are planning watch parties with friends. You would just see it on YouTube, whatever you want. I love a good watch party. But the only people who would be in the Zoom are the people who signed up for public comment. All right, because this is my responsibility to do. Go ahead, Betsy.
Yeah, can you confirm the time again? I thought one was 6 to 7 and one was 7:30 to 8:30. No?
You're correct. Thank you, Betsy, for the correction. So LVM is 6 to 7, and then Lindbergh is 7:30 to 8:30. Thank you. And I know it's correct on the agenda. Sorry, y'all. That's what happens on little sleep. So, yeah. All right. Thank you.
So Lindbergh is 7:30 to 8:30.
Correct.
Okay.
Thank you.
And July 20th.
And I'll also put these all on our calendars. I'll send calendar updates with all this information and update our master calendar.
Thank you.
So this, of course, thank you. And so then the second thing I want to flag is the voting change. So Betsy already previewed this and that we are going to vote again. And I want to apologize and also thank you because this was not a part of our original plan. What has always been done in the past is there's one vote and then it goes to public hearing and then it goes to the board. That's also been in the past when there's only been like a dozen names submitted. So for us to have a truly fair, equitable process full of integrity, we do need to vote again because of the number of names. And even if I go through my next renamings in the future, say there's 5 names, I'm actually going to do this process because I think it's important, as do the chairs, that we vote again after hearing from our community and not to be locked in our votes. So what that will look like, oh, go ahead, Betsy.
Yeah, I think because we're having some discussion today amongst the committee members,
yes.
And since we're not doing walking quorums, we haven't been able to, hear from each other about it. So the idea to whittle it down to a second tier, think of it as the World Cup of we're having our own World Cup this summer. So we're going from, whatever teams, which ones make the semifinals, quarterfinals. So after we hear from each other and the public, et cetera, then we're going to be voting again, of course, because we have to get it down to 4 eventually.
Yes, thank you, Betsy. And I love that. So we're in the quarterfinals. No, we're in the semifinals right now.
You got it, girl.
Semi. And Cynthia put in the chat for us, go Spain. Yes, go Spain. I got to say, after USA got knocked out, I've kind of been like, wah, wah. But yes, go Spain or England or whoever people are rooting for. So with that, we will vote again because it's important after hearing from our community and also going into a great conversation this morning. And so there's a timeline under homework and next steps in which that week of the 10th, which Betsy already alluded to, is when we'll be revoting based on everything that we're thinking and hearing between each other and then also our community. So for scoring and research, and we're at the bottom of page 4, and Shahana, it's so great that you were able to join us. We know that you're super busy between work and these meetings, so thank you, Shahana. Mm-hmm. And so with that, I did dismiss Gail. She said, thanks in the chat, y'all. So I did dismiss Gail. So unfortunately, Gail is at the emergency room with her daughter. She said her daughter is going to be okay, but if you could please have her daughter and Gail and her family in your thoughts and send her well wishes. She said she's going to be okay. She was willing to sit in the ER and do it. Absolutely not. And so the things that we need for research, we're going to delay those. I'll connect with her at a time that works well in her schedule, and we will still get that information before our final vote. And so we did have only two that were flagged for additional research, and that was Warner. And I'm still trying to memorize our names out of respect of our Indigenous community. But the Jura, sorry, I know, I'm working on it. So those need additional research. So we won't discuss these two today. I'll work with Gail to get the additional research by our next meeting. For discussion today, we had several that were flagged, and I'm towards the bottom of page 5 if you're following along. We had 18 that folks wanted to discuss. Oh, it's actually 17. I put Cherokee Marsh in there twice. All right, let me delete that one. And so we'll do the same protocol that we did last time as far as whoever lifted this for discussion. I'll say the name, jump in. This is why I would like to discuss it. Then we'll jump into a conversation. We'll have up to 3 minutes for each name. We don't need to go the 3 minutes if we don't have to, but that's how we'll do it. Got it, Shahana. Yep, Shahana, let me put it back in the chat for you. Thank you. Detailed agenda coming your way, Shahana. There we go. And we're towards the bottom of page 5. I'll also put the names here in the chat, just in case this is also helpful to folks instead of scrolling through many pages of a detailed agenda. Okay, so with that, I'm going to start with the first name, which is Cherokee Marsh, and I'll start a timer. Betsy, was there something you wanted to say?
No, I was going to say I don't know if more than one person, but I flagged both Cherokee Marsh and Cherokee. It's to me incredibly unfortunate that we already have a Cherokee middle school because Cherokee Marsh, the name Cherokee would, to use the Nan Youngerman term, would be a bullseye over at Lindbergh. But I was wondering if there was consensus that it would just be too confusing to the public to have a Cherokee elementary and a Cherokee middle. And so wondering if there's consensus that we remove those from our list.
I flagged it too, and for the same exact reason. I
Okay.
flagged Cherokee and Cherokee Marsh, and then I'm like, we have a middle, and I'm like, and I already know, just standing outside doing duty, we had someone come from Kennedy because our school is on Kennedy Road, and they needed to pick a kiddo up at Kennedy, and she's like, what do you mean I'm at the wrong school?
Yeah.
I'm like, I swear I'm the librarian. I know all the kids here. We don't have a kid by that name. And then I'm like, did you mean? She's like, isn't this Kennedy? I'm like, no, this is
No, Kennedy school is not on Kennedy Street. Lindbergh's on Kennedy Street.
right. And then I had to send her all the way back across town. I'm like, call the school. Your grandkid will be fine. I promise. Just tell them you went to the wrong school.
All right.
I
So
agree.
do I hear
I
any?
also agree as well, too, just for being on crisis response.
Yeah.
And when we're thinking about if we have to dispatch law enforcement to our schools for any reason, that could create confusion if we have two schools named Cherokee from that kind of level of response.
Okay, great. Let's remove. Do I hear anybody who wants to preserve the name Cherokee Elementary?
Betsy, I'll just add that LVM decided the same things last night. They also had names that were similar to existing names. They actually went a step further. They thought about uniqueness outside of MMSD. So any schools that had names similar to surrounding districts and really any district in Wisconsin, they also eliminated those names to help with less confusion and to make the schools more unique.
Okay. Okay, so we're done for discussion. We took care of two of them in less than 3 minutes, I think. So we can remove those. And how about the Yahara River? Was it me who raised that one? I don't know. Did somebody who wants to share why they wanted to discuss the name Yahara River?
I flagged.
Oh, and Nan, just 1 second, just so you know, Betsy, most of these names, several people flagged them. So just so you know.
Okay. Anybody would like to talk? Thank you. Anybody would like to talk about Yahara? Nan Youngerman.
Okay. I think I flagged anything for discussion that I thought was a really rich proposal to either add or take away. And I was surprised as I was scoring all these because I looked at the list before I considered anything and thought, oh, what are my, top tier? And Yahara wasn't one of them. But as I scored, I thought, wow, this is a rich proposal because it has a connection to the indigenous people language. It is the waterway that connects all 4 of our lakes. It is commonly known in terms of what people know. And I have heard other people who have no idea. I'm listening to what they're saying related to naming, environmental people who just go, that is a really important name. So I was surprised. It rose to my top tier.
Okay, your river overfloweth. Thank you.
I selected that one and then Yahara Heights because the names were so similar, and I wanted to know what we thought about the difference between Yahara River and Yahara Heights.
Yeah.
And I'll jump in and say I like Yahara anything, but I particularly thought the water because it was the connector to all our lakes. But I just wanted to be sure we had it in our top tier for consideration.
Thanks for that input. Anyone else want to talk about Yahara or Yahara River? And I wondered, Cynthia, if you wanted to comment, you mentioned from the crisis response, will the name just end up being called Yahara anyway? Whether we call it, whether it's named Yahara River or Yahara, does it matter? And I think that partly people put in Yahara River because of the criteria saying it has to be a person or a geographic site, and the Ohio River is, of course, a site. But may I ask you, Cynthia, to comment on that?
Yeah, and I think that is tricky because you would have to say, if a call comes in and it's like, oh, there's an emergency at Yahara River, they're like, is it Yahara River? Is it Yahara River Elementary School? I think that it would be descriptive, not that I don't think it would cause confusion, but it's something to think about in terms of the name and making sure that we're communicating it's Yahara River Elementary School so that people know and that not responding to the actual park location or the river location, but I think it should be fine. I don't
Okay.
know, Chelsea, what you think as well?
Um, I'm not going to weigh in yet. I'll weigh in at when we get to the actual scores because that's going to be our next piece. So I'm going to keep the discussion clean. And I see Angie's hand is up. I am taking notes for us though. So towards the bottom of page 5, I am putting the feedback that we're having because this will inform our overall discussion when we look at the scoring. Okay. So thank you, Cynthia. Angie?
I just want to give for context that there are 2 other schools in Dane County that have Yahara in their name. There's Yahara Elementary in DeForest School District, and then a Yahara Elementary in Edgerton School District, which I think is borderline Dane County. So if we're looking at unique names, we might want to further consider that one.
Thanks for that, Angie. Okay, any other comments about Yahara? Hearing none, seeing none. Let's go on to DeJope. As Chelsea said, several people mentioned DeJope. Whether you were the person who flagged it or not, any discussion about DeJope, and I have to admit my ignorance, I was calling it T-Jop in my head until I realized that it's actually the name for DeJope. My consideration with it was, I think, somewhat close to Nan's thing about Yahara. Like I like the fact that the Jope has the reference to the indigenous. Was worried that it's going to be called T-Jop. It's obviously a learning opportunity for the community to learn how to pronounce the indigenous name. But I'm worried that DeJope, and unfortunately here, is more associated with a casino in gambling than it is with the indigenous population. But maybe that's just me. What do other people think about DeJope?
I would
So
say that since the university built a building and called it DeJope and did a big community engagement process around that name, that there is a large swath of the community that's very familiar with the name DeJope and how it's pronounced with a hard J, not a soft J, and that it's not T-Jop and so forth.
Okay.
And I believe that DeJope would be an excellent name for any MMSD school.
Thank you, Shihana. And would we have to, I don't know who I could call on here. Maybe this is a Gail question. Like the dorm and all, Shahana, they spell it DEJOPE, don't they? Not TEEJOP. I've walked by that dorm and I'm pretty
I
sure.
think you're right, Betsy. That's
Yeah.
my recollection as well.
Yeah. So it is.
and Betsy, I can add to this because we had almost the exact same discussion last night about LEM because both of those names were on their list. So the relation to gambling also came up as a concern within that context. And then the relation to UW and it being confusing and possibly lack of uniqueness. So that committee actually decided to go with Dijon with the indigenous spelling for a lot of those reasons, and also in respect to indigenous folks. Doesn't mean that that's what you all need to do, but just because Betsy's like, am I the only one? You're definitely not. And Shahana, the same thing came up too last night. So you all are totally like on a similar track with the rest of our community.
Okay.
I know I flagged it as well, wondering because it's the whole region in general. And like in my mind, it was like naming something Madison, Madison. I don't have a problem with it, but I was wondering, could that be confusing? Are we isolating anybody? Are we excluding anybody? Are we regionalizing anything? Was my question when I'm like, I love the name and.
I think Tiffany raises an excellent concern that was on my radar screen as well.
Okay. Any more conversation about Dijon?
Well, I just put it in a bucket with what are alternatives to it. And
Yes.
so I was looking at the list of names and thinking about Ada Deer, and I was surprised, as I said, to put in Yahara. And so I was thinking if we didn't choose this, what would be other possibilities?
Okay.
And I'll remind everyone, we can have as many names as we want for the hearing. So also don't feel this pressure that we need to have like the floor right now because the public is also going to weigh in and help us to whittle it down more. So as a reminder, and then I also last night talked about making sure, and Tiffany, thank you already for your work, that if we did go the way of an Indigenous name, just double checking we have their blessing, even though Tiffany, I know you worked on that, so thank you. We did not have the blessing for Elvium's name, so I'm going to be working with Tara on that. And then also the blessing of any descendants for names too that we would be selecting as well. I said I don't want to get subpoenaed that all of a sudden this family did not agree, even though it came for us. So I'm going to work with legal on that part. But thank you for that too, Nan. Yep.
Okay. So hearing no other comments about Dijon, and we already talked about the Cherokee thing. So with the group's permission, I'm going to put Northport, Northridge, Northland, and Northside together. If well, I guess North, yeah, I think if that's okay. And I know I flagged it thinking, yeah, it's nice because you know where we are. But there are 3 elementary schools on the north side, Mendota, Lakeview, and Lindbergh. So I wasn't sure why one should own the north thing. It certainly will be easier for the crisis responders to know what direction to start heading the truck. But I guess again, channeling Nan, I felt like more unique names than just pick a north side, Northland, whatever. But that was just me. What did other people feel about the quartet of Norths?
I know I flagged Northport because, well, we're just off of Northport, so is Mendota, and we're not that far apart. And that, like, while we're part of that community, we're not actually on that road. And is that going to confuse people that 2 schools really close together right off of that road would have similar names?
Well, not similar names, but you're saying that they would.
Well, similar addresses and locations off of that road. Like we're both like blocking off of Northport. Is that gonna right? Not similar names, but similar location-ish.
Right. And why it's not you? Yeah, they're not unique to being north.
My reaction was that North Side, I believe it's the most northern school of the 3 that you've mentioned. So, and it really does strike me as being on the north side. So that was my preference, although I also feel, and I think I mentioned this in my comments, it's not the most exciting name. So, yeah.
I would like to flag that I believe that in the community, the name Northport means something very different for a lot of people than the term North Side.
Oh,
And I see Northport as a tribute to the community center and to that world known model of building community in the Northport neighborhood.
okay.
So I just wanted to give them a little shout out here.
So of the four Norths, you like Northport, Shahana.
I'm not saying that I mean, I do like it, but that's not the point that I wanted to make. I wanted to make the point that I think that in the community, for a lot of people, for certain parts of our community, if you say Northport, it means something very different from North Side or
Mhm.
Northland.
Mhm.
It means the community center and Carmen Porco and his legacy.
I
Mary,
prefer,
So can I ask a follow-up to Shahana and then Mary? Shahana, I want to make sure I'm getting your feedback right. So am I hearing from you that we could possibly be co-opting, right? A name that means something very special
I
to the community in a different
I
way?
see it as I mean, I just was thinking it as like a tribute
Okay, as a
and
tribute.
it's a
Thank you.
recognition.
Thank you.
But the point that I wanted to make was just that the meaning is different. I think that it
Yes.
is important for us to understand that for a lot of folks in the community, when you say Northport, it does not mean the street or North Side. It means the community center and it means that model.
Great.
And
Thank you.
do I understand, Shahana, for you to be saying that therefore you think Northport is a possible positive name for the school?
I think it's a possible positive name, yes. I didn't flag it for discussion.
yeah.
I don't have I'm sorry, but I just changed rooms for internet. So I left my notes in the other room. I'm just holding the pencil so I don't remember all the details of what I was thinking. But yes, I do think it's a positive name. But the reason that I felt compelled to speak here was because we were lumping all these names together. And I think that that is not the meaning for the full community, that anything with North in it is the
I
same.
apologize, Shahana, for having lumped them now that I hear that. And again, that's the reason for the discussion. So north side just means, which east, west, north, south. North Port means something different. North Ridge is a geographical formation, right? And Northland, I don't know what that is. But anyway, they all started with north. But you're absolutely right, and I so appreciate you bringing that forward, the Northport, community and a very active community building and community organization. Thank you,
I know Mary's been waiting. Go ahead, Mary.
Mary.
So I like North Side also because although I live in Wanakee, as you drive in, you think, okay, I'm going to the north side. And then as you go further down Northport, it doesn't feel north side anymore. And I also used to work at CWC, Central Wisconsin Center, which is in that geographical area. And when we would drive down, it would be like you're leaving the north side of Madison. That's why I kind of went with north side for the school because it's on the north side to me.
As Fred said, it's the most north of the
Yeah,
three.
it's the most north.
Okay.
For
Well,
one, can I
yeah.
point out just one more thing too with North Side though? There are two schools, I believe, with the North Side name, one in Middleton and also one in Sun Prairie. There's a North Side Elementary School. So I just want to also flag that and bring that up as well.
Thank you. This was a really rich discussion about the Norths, and I appreciate everybody's perspectives on that. That's why we wanted to vote a second time because, I didn't know that about Northport. I didn't know that about the other schools that have North Side. So thank you, everybody. Any other comments on any of the North that I inappropriately lumped together? Okay, hearing none. Let's move on to Willa Beatrice. Somebody's going to have to remind me about her because I scored her weeks ago and now I'm not remembering. Does anybody want to share anything about Willa Beatrice?
I can. I'm pulling up the spreadsheet right now,
Okay,
and
thank
then
you.
I'll drop it in the chat for anybody who wants to go back and do it. Let me just
Okay.
find the name. Well, Beatrice, we've got
Well, I can add in because I just read my notes. She was a mechanic. She was an aviation mechanic.
Okay.
She was instrumental in World War II. While she doesn't have a Wisconsin connection, she had a Chicago and other connection. She was a Black Indigenous person of color. She was a teacher. So while it did not have a Madison specific, it went with the flyer theme that our school is. But I'm like, I wanted to know what we thought about not having a Madison connection, but still a very highly thought of lady.
And she
and
trained
so and
Tuskegee Airmen, right?
Right.
yeah, I was just going to add that to the context. So I pulled it up. So historic aviation trailblazer, who was the first African American woman to earn a commercial pilot's license in the US, training pilots who formed the Tuskegee Airmen. And so something I can add to this conversation that was also similarly discussed in LVM, you do see the final list for LVM that are going to public hearing. And so I'm flagging that because Harriet Tubman did make the final list. And so the policy does read national or local prominence. And there was a robust conversation about Harriet Tubman at one point because there was also the conversation that based on our history, based on even the present, that also impacts who was known during what eras, especially in this area. And so just to also help with that thinking. So thank you, Tiffany, for flagging that. So we do have some local prominence going forward with Albium based on that rich description, that rich conversation. And that's still in line with the policy if the committee chooses to go that way.
Yeah, Willa Beatrice was a name that I was unfamiliar with, but then when I read about her and her role, I thought that could be a really good match for the school, was my reaction. That it has an aviation connection, her African American ties, and being with such a distinguished group as the Tuskegee Airmen. While I'd never heard of her before, I was really impressed. So that kind of rose to the top for me.
Mhm.
I scored her lower because of the lack of a Wisconsin connection. And I'm also skittish about choosing an aviation person, though I think I need to work to understand more that might be very important to the school to maintain the aviation connection, the flyers, and so forth. But I don't think the name Lindbergh was chosen only because of aviation. I think it was also chosen because of his politics. And so I would rather see um, Clarence Kalin, you know,
Yeah.
to provide the contradiction to that political piece. But I will say that if the aviation connection is really important to the community, that Mr. Gorham's name for me would rise to the top because he was the only Tuskegee airman from Wisconsin. He was born in Waukesha, if I remember correctly.
And so what I can add to that quickly is that, and we talked about this in our flurry of meetings, the mascot's not going to change at this time. So the mascot will remain Flyer. If they do want to change the mascot in the future, there's an internal process with MMSD. And then I know that both Robert and Tiffany said that, the kids consider themselves as flyers, like there is a connection to flying for sure in the school. And so I want to offer that context as well in helping to think through this decision.
Yeah.
I was thinking every word that Shahana said. So thank you for being so eloquent, Shahana. I approached it that the mascot would definitely remain the Flyers, but I thought there's such a broad interpretation. And I didn't see the previous aviation connection as framing us in. And so I will just say all the things that I was thinking were eloquently stated by Shahana.
Yeah, the only thing I would add to what Chelsea and Ann have said is that, and Tiffany and Robert and others from Lindbergh, please correct me if I'm wrong, is the emphasis has been on the flyers there because they so don't like using the name Lindbergh. So other schools may say we're the proud Emersonians or we're the proud, Muirs or whatever, but they like avoid using, that's what the former principal had told me. They avoid using the name Lindbergh because of what he stood for. And so went with the Flyers, plus obviously it's so positive, we're going to soar, we're going to fly, we're going to go high, blah, blah, blah. Robert, you have your hand up, please.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciated what folks shared, Shahana, especially about thinking about the history of Lindbergh affecting the mascot and then affecting this proposal or name consideration, I think is important to keep in mind and to think critically about. I also appreciated lifting the fact that in the criteria we've been provided, it does specifically say for excellence, it has to have historical roots in Madison community. I've been following that to the best that I can. And so I appreciate, Chelsea, that you shared other schools have been thinking critically about that, but it was the criteria that we were provided. And for that reason, I did also rank this option, despite this clearly being an amazing historical person, as lower because I didn't see the connection. So I just wanted to share that.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments about Willa Beatrice? We must be getting close to our 3 minutes on that one.
I just wanted to add, like, I know staying flyers was important to us, and I know staff and some students were still looking for the whole parameter of something that can fit while we're not changing the mascot. We wanted the new name to kind of fit with what we already had and what we already believed in, which is why so many ear-related things made our suggestion list.
Yeah. Okay. And do you think, if I can put you on the spot, Tiffany, do you think the staff and the community will accept a name that doesn't have an aviation connection, knowing that will still be the Proud Flyers?
Yeah, but then I think there would probably be a mascot change down the line. If it doesn't fit well, I don't see them staying forever with it. Because everything we have is branded with something that flies. And if it doesn't go with something that flies, I'm not sure it would fit well or stay anymore, if that makes sense.
You might want to talk to other schools, as I've mentioned several times. Like my kids went to Lowell and they use the Lowell Lions all the time, even though Mr. Lowell, as far as
right. And like it might be different with an animal. And I was trying to think of that. I'm like, I don't know. I have been thinking about that though. Yes, because I'm like, okay, we use a lot of airplanes right now and logos and things, and we had dragons and anything with wings, and that might skew how we look at things.
Okay. And I'll add too, to alleviate this pressure, remember, this is only our list of public hearing. Right. And so we will get to hear from the community as a whole. So I don't want you all also, because Tiffany, what you said is extremely important. One of the many reasons why you're on our committee. I also don't want you to limit yourselves that our finalists need to be related to flying. Our finalists can be all the things we believe in right now, and then the community will give us the feedback. So, and I want to note too, we have 14 minutes until hour 2, in which we're going to get into the scoring discussion.
Okay. So let me just say, even though I shouldn't, in the timing, that it's really important in our messaging and when we tell friends and networks and whatever, that the mascot's not changing. Chelsea has shared with me that when Madison Memorial changed to Vel Phillips Memorial, it's because the community wanted to keep Memorial and they wanted to keep the Spartans, and they did. So it's only the name that changed, and it hasn't changed anything about their branding related to Spartans or Memorial. So that can be done. All right, let's move on to Gaylord Nelson.
Oh, and Betsy, you just made me think of something, if I could quickly add. And another example is Lori Mann Carey. And so their mascot did change. through the internal process with the school. However, it doesn't necessarily relate to Lori Mancari, who was an amazing, amazing community leader. So now they're the Lori Mancari Phoenix, right? Like they're rising. So again, wanting to share with you all that the beauty of our board and our district is we're very receptive to what the community is asking. And things can flow in a way because all 54 sites have very different flavors. So thank you.
Okay, so wrapping into that part up, name and mascot don't have to, align. Okay, next was Gaylord Nelson. I think most of us know he was a governor, he was a senator, he was the founder of Earth Day. Gaylord Nelson State Park is, I wouldn't exactly say around the corner, but it's take Northport to M, and then you see that. So, any discussion, whoever raised that or not, lobbying, opposition, discussion, fleshing it out, Gaylord Nelson.
Well, I'll just say briefly that as you pointed out, Betsy, Gaylord Nelson State Park is fairly near the school. And so it seems to me that that park was very appropriately named for Governor Nelson. And once again, I think that could lead to a little bit of confusion. And I'd rather have a separate identity for this school. And I will also state something that I didn't state with respect to Willa Beatrice. I like the idea of naming the school after a woman. It doesn't mean I'm against men or whatever. There's certainly a lot of great proposals out there, but I think that is somewhat inspiring to the kids as well.
Okay. One man's urging women. Thank you.
By and large, not
I will
totally.
mention to your wife if I ever meet her,
Right.
Yeah. Nan, you're speaking, but you're muted.
I'm sure I put anyone that I thought we should have more discussion and talk about. So I very well could have flagged Gaylord Nelson. And I was thinking educational opportunities related to Earth Day and kids and something that can really capture a school that's interested in environmental stuff. And I'm not claiming that this is my top choice, but I thought it should be something that gets serious consideration. And I was really thinking about the environmental factors and the importance of our earth.
Yeah. Both good points. Uh, um, Fred raises a question that I've been struggling with a little bit on some of the names that all are already on other buildings in Dane County. Like, let me take a name that's not on our list, Goodman. How many Goodman things, do we need in the community, right? Goodman Community Center, Goodman Pool, Goodman this. I mean, they donated money and I get that connection. But as Fred said, Nelson, is that a good alignment and a good truism? And certainly the environmental connection in an area that is super environmentally sensitive, or is it too much to have two Nelsons? And I have not come to a conclusion on my own, so I don't know what others, but I just put that factor out for consideration.
Gaylord Nelson doesn't need another tribute. I want to give another shout out to Mr. Gorham,
Okay.
who I don't think I scored as high as I would today.
Okay.
Gaylord Nelson doesn't need another tribute.
Okay. Yeah, there are the Nelson Scholars and Nelson this and that and stuff. Right. Okay, our next one, hold that Gorham.
Betsy,
Yeah.
Betsy, if I could flag for the group, that also was a part of a conversation too. And it made me think about, do we spread the giving of flowers to folks?
Yeah.
Everybody deserves their flowers, right? But that did come up, the repetition of certain names, while they are important and.
Good. Thanks for that perspective, Shahana and Chelsea. All right, the next name up is Jeffrey Clay Erlinger. And whether somebody, yeah, Shahana.
I'm sure I flagged Jeffrey Clay Erlinger, a hero of Madison and the world, and a flyer by any definition. As a matter of fact, there's an interesting story about him going to the Democratic National Convention without a ticket And on the plane is whoever was the Dane County executive at that time, and she got him in.
Well,
Um, anyway,
Kathleen
Jeff
Paul.
Erlanger was of Madison. He was a disability rights activist and um, an elected official. He was a hero of mine because I saw him as a kid on Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood.
Yeah,
There's a character, a current character, maybe in their animated, one of their animated
right.
shows that's based on Jeff.
That's right.
He was Jewish, and I love the idea of naming Lindbergh School after a Jewish Madisonian
Who
because
actually
Lindbergh,
attended there, Shahana?
oh, and he attended that school. Thank
For,
you.
for a little bit because it was the only accessible school then. He
Thank
was in a
you.
wheelchair. Yeah,
Thank
Which
you.
brings me to my question.
yeah.
Is Lindbergh is not accessible. Our bathrooms are not handicap accessible. Well, I think it is an amazing name. And like I was reading about him, I'm like, I wonder about attaching his name to a non-handicap accessible-ish type school. Like I'm all about that. And I know that I had a volunteer and she was coming with East and she was, and they're like, we can make it work. But for someone like they sent a kid out to another school a few years ago because our handicap bathrooms weren't up to code. That was mine. Like I don't have any qualms against it. I
I
would love
think
to name
that
the
is
school. Yeah.
such a good point. And just in the spirit of this idea of, I mean, he was a person, a disabled person and a Jewish person, two groups targeted for extermination by the Nazis. Can we use this as as an impetus to push the district on accessibility in the school, to
Mhm,
do some kind of a special fundraiser?
mhm.
Maybe it's an opportunity to convene some philanthropists in the community to at least put a plan together. Is there already a plan for what it would cost and have they drawn up plans for? Maybe it could
So
be
I can
an
I can offer
impetus.
context. I can offer context as a district rep. And then I know Robert had his hand raised at some time at a point too. So I want to make sure we get back to him. So what I can offer as a district, there is a lot of feedback around accessibility across many of our buildings because they are so old. I know that our building services team is working very hard to identify what is feasible in phases. And so I offer that to say, I know it is everyone's desire within who work within MMSD and believe in inclusivity. And then also, what's the word I'm thinking of? Access. And so I would push this group not to think about what the current facilities look like right now, knowing that there are a lot of robust discussions across pretty much all of our buildings because they're so old as to what needs to be done. I'll also offer too quickly, there was a similar discussion last night, a different name though, as far as are we being symbolic or are we really living what the name is? And this is what this conversation has brought up for me. What does
Right.
it mean to have his name on a building, but right now he would not be able to fully participate if he were here with us. And so that was part of our conversation last night around a different name. They also came to a similar conclusion, actually, to you, Shahana. You know, does it mean that we still don't live it out and do what we need to do? And I'll also add again, building services is very aware around the lack of access across many of our buildings and are working on that. And we also have board members who've been very, very vocal about how we need to look at how to restructure some things and retrofit. And then I know Robert had his hand up too.
Yeah, I just wanted to share. This is more thinking about what Fred shared before about the last person we were considering, Gaylord Nelson, I think the last name was, but also connects to this one we're now talking about. Something I was thinking about, especially with the proposals that we had that were people, was how it can really reflect our school community. And similar to what Fred was saying about choosing a woman as for a person to be the name of the next school. I was very critical looking at another name that was a white male and really thinking about how can we have someone that reflects the student bodies and the community that we work in.
Yeah, I mean, true. Erlanger was white male. But to my knowledge, we don't have any school named after a person with a disability right now. I could be wrong about that, and there could be people that. And to Tiffany's point, I just want to say, on that theory, we couldn't have any school named after a Black person, African American, because we all know how much racism there still is. So and to reject Erlanger because the bathroom isn't accessible would be like discriminating against people with disabilities twice, right? Saying, sorry, if you were alive, you couldn't come in here and use the facilities. So I see it as an impetus like, holy cow, let's get this fixed. And honor our namesake. But I appreciate your points as well, Robert. Very, very well said.
And Betsy, I'll add quickly, Robert, the exact same point was made last night by a committee member. Do we want to have another building named after a white man? It was actually not about Robert Erlinger. I believe it was about Gaylord Nelson, actually. And so just also thinking through, Robert, thank you for that comment and thinking about inclusivity. And that's something that has popped up in other spaces as well. And I do want to flag we're less than a minute out in which we need to get to a scoring discussion. Want to keep this robustness going, but also flagging the time for us, Chair.
Right. Shahana.
I just want to say I'm Jewish and I'm a person who's been doing work around Jewish diversity for a very long time. And lumping white Jews in with all other white people it's problematic as whiteness is problematic as we start to deconstruct it, right? But just to say he's just a white guy is not good because we're talking about renaming Lindbergh Elementary School, and Jeff was Jewish.
Picking up on Shahana's comment, and so that none of you think I only want to have the new school named after a woman, I think the suggestion of Jeff Erlanger is a very viable suggestion. It was high on my list. And as I mentioned in my scoring, my kids had him as a teacher in religious school and ranked him as one of the two top teachers they had in their entire experience. So I think he should be high on our list.
And I'm just going to jump in the last minute or so and say his really, should we say, claim to fame was his overcoming of his disability. Right. And whatever color he was way down the list of whatever would describe him. And so I'm totally in agreement with Robert and what he's approaching, but it doesn't fit in my mind for Jeffrey Clay Erlinger. And a few meetings ago, Chelsea, I asked you, is it possible to get a readout on all the names of the Madison schools so we could know if we have, 29 schools, I'm making this up, but let's say are 28 of them named after, I'll just make this up and say, famous white men and only one of a woman, or what is the balance? And I feel like the name Jeffrey Erlinger gives an opportunity for tremendous diversity within that context. And I think there's a lot of reasons it should be a top consideration.
Okay.
So what I can do quickly is I can have, to the best of my ability, I can have for our second revote, after public hearing, I can have a breakdown of, and this is where it's challenging because it's either known or self-reported identifiers of someone. But I can do my best, like John F. Kennedy. I can do my best to have that for us when we go into the second revote with our finalists.
Okay. When Chelsea said we had 1 minute, that was for all the rest of the names. So we're bumping into our second hour. So I'm going to unilaterally say, let's see if we can do this even faster now. We'll talk fast. I'm going to ask you, Shahana, since invite you if you'd like to lead the discussion or be the first out on Alfred Gorham, since you've mentioned him a couple times. Would you like to, or would anyone else like to?
I would say thank you. I have nothing to add, but he has really risen to the top for me through this discussion.
Okay. And again, he was an African American aviator, Tuskegee, right?
The only Tuskegee Airman from Wisconsin, born in Waukesha.
Thank you. Anyone else have anything more to add about, and is he the man for whom our street is named, or is Gorham, or no, that's a different Gorham.
No. So that's the next campaign we can come together.
Okay. Thank you.
I'll
Anything?
also I'll add to the context, he was a surviving prisoner of war as well, and he received the Congressional Gold Medal.
Wow. Thank you. Yeah. So helpful for our next round of voting. Thank you all. Okay. How about Clarence Kalin? He was a big civil rights activist, and as I recall from the things, and he was one of the very first, quite a long time ago, saying, "Why are we teaching Black American history like this? We're not doing Black history right at all." Other things to add about
I
Clarence.
flagged Clarence Kalin. He was Jewish and he fought fascists. There is a monument to the Spanish Civil War. Sorry, the name of the brigade, I can't remember.
I have it right here, actually, Shana. I can quick jump in for you and then you continue. So he's a veteran of the Abraham Lincoln Brigade during the Spanish Civil War, who dedicated decades to local labor, anti-war, and civil rights movement. Please continue, Shahana.
Thank you so much. There's a monument to the Abraham Lincoln Brigade that has Clarence Kalin's name on it at James Madison Park that was graffitied with swastikas a few years ago. And so Clarence Kalin, a Madison Jewish man who was from a group targeted for annihilation by the Nazis as a Jew, and who actually physically fought fascists in his lifetime.
Well, thank you for that. Other comments about Mr. Kalin? Okay.
I'll
Leon.
say one that people should be aware of. He was a very, very strong communist.
Yeah.
Very, very strong communist. And so naming a school after him in this moment, there's some strategic considerations to be taken on by the voters.
Thanks for that additional input. Leon Varjanon, I think he was the president of the university student government. What was this, maybe 40 years ago, something like that. And best known for his playful, comedic, whatever, the half Statue of Liberty in the Lake Mendota, the pink flamingos on the on Bascom Hill. Any comments about or discussion?
I know I flagged it, but I was wondering, I'm like, okay, that is why the city of Madison has the pink flamingo as its city bird. I'm like, was it enough?
Yeah.
Or is it enough? Like, he is well known, but is it really something that we should name a school after?
Right. And was he a positive role model? Yeah, he was kind of goofy. Yeah.
I'm totally in Tiffany's corner on that. That was my comments reflected that as well.
Yeah.
I went to school when he was a UW student, and he was very bright, very playful, very goofy, and I'm totally with Tiffany and Fred. It doesn't rise to the caliber. It opens the door to a lot of misinterpretation, I think, of what is okay and what's not okay. So I would suggest we not consider him.
There's prominence with a small p and there's prominence with a serious P. And I'm hearing that it's not the kind of prominence that we're looking for here. Okay. Ada Deer. I think we all know she was nominee for, what was it, for Senate, I think, and was a huge leader in the Menominee tribe. Very well respected, checks the woman box. Indigenous population, died not that long ago, I think. Other people who want to comment about Ada Deer?
Worked for the federal government.
Oh, yes.
And Ada Deer would be a great name for any Madison school.
Yeah.
Yeah, I second that. I had that very high on my list. Also, her connection with Wisconsin. She was a social worker, and did a lot on behalf of the Menominee community. So I had her as well, as someone that I would think would be a great name for our schools.
Okay. Two more to discuss. Well, actually, oh, I'm sorry. Was there anything more about Ada Deer?
I second what everyone said. Big name.
Yeah, I third it. Yeah, very, very impressive. Clarence Sherrod, I have to confess or disclose, he was my teaching assistant in a course in African American studies that I took I think as a sophomore. He went on to law school and was a lawyer for the district. He also was well known for being a UW basketball player.
I flagged it because when I read it, I'm like, only known as basketball. Then I'm like, but he went to law school. He's a person of color. He tutored, and it read like he also tutored at Lindbergh. I would like it to see more than just he was a basketball player. I'm like, there was so much behind that name that I did not know, and I'm like, I would have liked to see more ahead of time that he wasn't just a basketball player.
Well, it was all in the sheets, when we went to score them. Yeah.
Right. But that little blurb was just saying he was a UW basketball player. And I'm like, okay, so what? But I'm like, I didn't know all those other connections until I did research. And
so then Tiffany, let me own that because the blurb is from me. And I think that's also, but that's a bigger conversation around how people are memorialized and not memorialized based on their background. And so when I did those quick contacts, that's based on what's published. And like you said, people are so much, Shahan also alluded to this, people are not monolithic. They are not all the same, right? And I think it speaks to our history and our continued presence around how folks are memorialized, how they receive or don't receive their flowers. And even more reason why I'm so grateful for Gail, who's able to find access to things that the general public does not find. So Tiffany, thank you for flagging that. That's an important flag for this community to hear as well. So thank you.
That's what I wanted. I wanted to make sure the community knew more than he was just this.
And I appreciate
and that's all I wanted to know. Like, that's the reason I flagged it. I'm like, he was so much more than just that. And I'm like, until I did the reading, I didn't know that. I just wanted to make sure our community knew that as well, if that was one of their choices.
Right. You did see, Tiffany, right, that there was different tabs on the spreadsheet. So you saw the little blurb, and then when you went on the other tab,
right.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. And that's how I knew he worked for the district. I'm like, I didn't know this guy worked as a lawyer for the district. Why would I? Well, it's before my time. Why would I know that? I'm like, that was so cool. But I'm like, if we're only giving our community that one blurb and they haven't read the research, I want to make sure that they.
So Tiffany, great push. And I know we're at 10:10. I will make sure that when the blurbs are published on the webpage, it is more than just that one blurb for everybody. Because even Shahana has lifted things that weren't a part of all the research, right? And I'll work with Gail on that too. So thank you for that push.
Great. All right. Our last one before we get into the scoring was Warner. And I was a person who raised this. I know it's near Warner Park, but did Mr. or Mrs., I'm assuming it was a Mr. Warner, have some seedy something or another that we don't know? And I asked if there could be more research done on Warner before we considered this. I have to admit, wasn't my top choice anyway, but before I even considered it, I wanted to know more than that there's some park named after it. And I think, as you mentioned, Shahana, the community out there, the Warner Park Community Center is very active too. But I don't know if anyone else had any comments about Warner. We would hear from Gail about if she's had a chance to research it, unless somebody else knows anything about him.
I flagged it for the same reason. I realize it's named after a person. It's a park, but named after a person. So I would want more information as well. So I had that flagged as well.
Thanks, Cynthia. Okay, well, if no other comments about that, we're 11 minutes over that, but this was a fabulous discussion. I personally learned a lot from all of you, and I hope the rest of you did too. Grateful again to Chelsea and Gail for the background, and to all of you and your different perspectives. So thank you so much, and I'll turn it over to Chelsea to share her screen and share the scores with us.
Yes, thank you, everyone. And that robust discussion is actually going to help you a lot when we go into now the finalization for the public hearing, because you're going to see those names based on the buckets. So can I get a drum roll, please, for where the names landed? All right, so I'm going to drop it in the chat, and then I'm also going to share screen and explain what the chart looks like for us. So here it's coming in the chat, and then I will share screen as well. And again, you all are such amazing people for getting this done and the thoughtfulness that went behind this. So bucket one, this is based on our final score. Remember, it was a 4-point scale of the 2 questions. And so anything that's in bucket one was limited alignment. So those are the ones that are automatically dropping off from our final list based on our team scores. So the ones that will be dropping off are these 9 names.
Okay.
And you can see those here.
Mhm.
Okay. Now, bucket 2 are the ones that will need to have continued deliberation based on their score. So they're within the range in which we need to have discussion. There's 29 of these total. And just so you also know, LVM had 21 that were up for discussion as well. So it's very interesting just to see the level of depth that went into the scoring, to know that there needs to be discussion. And thank you all. You know, we ain't grading on a curve, right? Like we're really thinking about this. And so what you'll see for the yellow, where you see the extra highlights, that's where I went through and I did a cross reference of the ones we needed discussion on, so that those are also in the top of your mind. So the ones that are highlighted are the ones that we just talked about, because then that can help inform our decision making to happen by the end of this meeting.
Chelsea, can I ask you to please yellow up Alfred Gorham? Because
I missed that one. I'm sorry. Thank you.
Yeah, and I think,
and if I missed any others, please tell me.
Yeah, and I think you could. Well, if it was just for discussion, okay, but I think I heard no strong feelings about North Ridge or Northland, but that Northport, I heard a couple folks interested in and brought up some good points about Northport and North Side, but Gorham definitely needed to be added. So thank you.
Yes, I initially, and I missed that one. Thank you. I highlighted all 4 of those because those had come up in people's scores. All right. So then bucket 3 and 4, these would be the ones that rose to the top that initially would be on our public hearing list. However, based on our conversation, there are some that the committee just now was swayed more heavily for. And then through discussion, there's also been some that it sounds like the committee is changing their mind based on discussion, which is what we do. And so while these were the ones that rose to the top, we will ultimately come up with the public hearing list. And I say that because Yahara was brought up twice, just as far as which one's stronger, will it be confusing? So if you all decided now we're going to drop Yahara, we still can. Same with Cherokee Marsh. There was debate over that too, whether it was confusing or not. Let me pause. Shahana, I see your hand.
Yes, this is something that kind of came to me yesterday, and I meant to mention it, and I'm sorry it's a little bit off topic, but I just want to give a shout out to the name Song Q, UW Madison's first Hmong graduate. And thinking about the Hmong community of Madison, the demographics of the North Side, the demographics of our committee, wondering if there were to be a Hmong person here, if they perhaps would have flagged that name for discussion. And somebody had said something over the weekend about the North Side and the Hmong community in Madison, and it kind of clicked in my mind. And so I just wanted to put that out there, kind of for hopefully the greater good. Thank you.
Yeah,
I'm so glad that we're going to be able to vote more than once.
Yeah, and this is, and I was just going to say, there's no need to apologize. Like, that's also what happens in this process, right? Like, light bulbs go off at different points, right? And that's exactly why we have discussion for today. And so what the next step will be is I'll share screen again. We're going to look at the yellow names, and we will decide if we want those to cross over to the public hearing list. And remember, there is no limitation on the number of names for public hearing, right? And then you are correct, Shahana, we will still vote again after hearing for public comment and processing more. So the protocol we're going to follow, and it worked very well last night. And again, I said LVM scored in similar buckets as far as the amount as you all did. So it was done in a way that felt like it honored the names. We were able to do it efficiently, and we had a great list at the end of it. So because there are 29 names, anyone, and we're not going to follow Robert's Rules of Order, we're going to continue with discussion. We'll do Robert's Rules of Order for the final vote when we go down to 4. For this, it will be a discussion in which I'll put the yellow names up on the screen. Anyone can say, I would like to bring forth this name. I propose that this name moves to the final list for this reason, and you'll explain why. There's already been some of that already in the discussion. So I think it'll also be, we'll be able to more quickly navigate which ones we do want to make sure are on the list from the yellow box. And then as you're confirming as a group, like, yep, let's move that up to the final list for the public hearing, I will then highlight those names green so that you know that these are the names from the yellow box that will be going to the green. After that, you all are different in that some of your green names now, there's differing opinions based on discussion, which is beautiful. So we're going to start with the yellow box first to figure out which ones we want to put in the final list for the public hearing. And then once we have the yellow list finished, we'll then go to the green list. And I'm going to ask you, based on the discussion we just had, if there's any of those highlighted names that you would want now to be dropped off from the final list, which is okay. Shahana, I did see your hand, so I want to make sure I get to you.
I'm just a little bit confused when you're saying the yellow box. You're talking about like the red, the yellow, the green bands of the sheet. Also, I'm looking on my phone, so I'm just
no problem.
The ones that are yellowed up in the number 2 box.
Got it.
And she's on her phone, so it's harder to see. So this is what I'm going to do, Shahana, too. I'm dropping it in the chat. So these are the yellow names, I'm calling them, or bucket 2, in which you all will let me know which ones you would like to move over to the final list for the public hearing. We're going to start there first. So for example, there's been robust conversation around Alfred Gorham, right? It's one of the ones on the fence. I would need one of you all to say, I think this should be on the public hearing list. And then you all would reach consensus, which what it looked like last night was everyone just kind of nodded in agreement. No one said no. And then I highlighted those green and we moved on. We did not go through all 21 names last night. It was someone bringing to the group, I think this one needs to cross over. So we don't have to go through all 29. There's some that aren't even highlighted because you all did not flag these for discussion. That could be a way for those to naturally drop off as well. So is there anyone who would like to propose a name or a series of names that they would like to make sure are crossed over to the final list?
Can I clarify? So then we're going to go to the green band box.
And then we'll go to the green next. Yeah.
And then we can, like, if there's discussion and something we possibly want moved.
Yes.
It's going to be time to do it. Okay. Just making sure I understand what's going on.
Okay, absolutely. Thank you, Tiffany, for the question. So right now we're only focused on yellow names that could cross over to the final list. And then part 2 will be looking at the green names if there's any we want to take off. Robert?
Normally these number 2s would have dropped off, but there was enough discussion that potentially, good or bad, like it appears Cherokee will not cross over. But Robert, what was your thoughts?
I just wanted to clarify. So I would have flagged some names for discussion had I understood that they would have then been highlighted. Like for example, in number 2, I think Laurel Clark is a name to
Robert,
consider.
let me clarify. The highlights, that doesn't impact anything. You can still bring up names right now that are not highlighted in the yellow box and say, I'd like for this to cross over. I only highlighted that so that you all already saw what we just discussed. So last night, for example, Amelia Earhart is not highlighted. There were committee members, though, who also called out names that we did not talk about earlier and were like, I feel like this should be crossed over to the final list. And then the group decided. So I want to be super clear, Robert. There was nothing that you needed to know beforehand. I only highlighted them because we just talked about them to help kind of like rejigger your mind. That was all.
Okay, so can I nominate then a name that's not highlighted from
Yes, you
bucket
can.
2?
Absolutely. Any name within the yellow box, anyone can nominate to propose that it's crossed over to the final list. Go ahead, Robert.
So I think Laurel Clark should be highlighted, and I can share why or leave it there.
Please do share why. The group will have to reach consensus on that.
Sure. Laurel Clark, who's in our list, is a Wisconsin-born NASA astronaut, medical doctor, and U.S. Navy captain who tragically perished aboard the Space Shuttle Columbia. Um, and I think I ranked her very highly in our criteria.
I'd like to see Gorham be moved into the consideration.
And if you're following along on the bottom of page 1, and I'm also sharing screen, I am now highlighting those in green to cross over. And if there's anyone can propose one to cross over, if there's anyone who feels strongly or there's a reason we're not aware of why they shouldn't, please speak up now. But anyone can nominate one to cross over. So, okay, thank you. So I've got Gorham and I've got Laura Clark. Go ahead, Fred. Fred, you're muted.
I'm going to propose, and I totally respect the committee if you want to reject me on both suggestions, but I'm going to propose that both Northside and Willa Beatrice Brown be forwarded into the final list.
I'm seeing nods for Northside. Anyone want to challenge that proposal? And then Willa Beatrice Brown, I saw nods as well. Anyone want to challenge that proposal? And again, remember, there will be another time to vote. This is us giving a great, robust list for our community to consider. Okay, so far we have Gorham's moving forward, Laurel Clark is moving forward, Northside is moving forward, and Willa Beatrice Brown. Shahana, are you wishing for Song Q? I'm sorry if I'm saying it wrong, to move forward as well based on your comment. Got it, thank you. And then Tiffany, go ahead, Tiffany.
Like the whole chunk names of, because I can't say them right, Robin, Firefly, and Duck.
Okay.
Just by listening to those names, they were easier to pronounce and are still representative of where we're located and wildlife in our area of school.
What were those three? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
She said Rob. He said Rob. Let me go through them one by one.
I see him. Okay.
Yep. So we've got Robin, we have Firefly here, and we have Duck. Is there anyone? And again, reminder, we're sending a robust list to the public hearing. We will have another opportunity to vote. Is there anyone who does not support those moving forward?
I don't want to be a thorn in the side here or anything, but I'm a little uncomfortable. This is no comment on any of the names, but I'm a little uncomfortable that any one of us can move something that was scored low up to a higher thing. And I'm wondering if we need more than one person, like a little more consensus, or what do others think? We don't have this in our protocol or policy, like what was the point of scoring if any.
So these are the ones that, while they scored low, they still scored within a range that elicited debate. Okay. I'll also add, these are also ones where you see a range of scores, and we've talked about the diversity of this committee, diversity of beliefs, diversity of life experiences. And so when I only know everybody's scores, I'm the only person in the world who knows everyone's scores. It is interesting when I think about the diversity in our committee and where scores lie. And we had always promised that because we are a diverse committee, anything where we saw variance as far as it being high or low for whatever reason, but still scoring enough, we would have discussion. So that's what we're doing now. And then for me, how consensus was reached last night was that as people proposed the names, if there was dissension, people spoke up and were like, I appreciate that you want that name. This is why I'm having a hard time crossing this one over to the list. So how I'm identifying consensus right now is, as folks are proposing names, I'm not hearing any dissenters. So in my mind, no one's saying I dissent. I want to have more of a discussion over this. So then I'm processing this as, okay, the committee is okay with this going over to the public hearing list, which is part 2. I also just want to quickly double check with you, Tiffany. Weren't you the one who also brought up Clarence Sherrod as more than just a basketball player?
I was. So I would highlight that one too. And I also know scoring people against places, against concepts, and trying to rank them all similarly in my mind was hard. People were people in places over the concepts ones. So I know some of the first ones I did in the whole chunk names were they're hard to overlap, even trying to do your best. Like different.
Yeah. And we're human, right? And I'll also say, as someone who knows everyone's scores, I don't want that to be a concern for you because people have different lenses. Another reason why it's a 12-person diverse committee. So it was also, it's very interesting, and I appreciate everyone's scores to see where I could see some folks were like, this is what's important to me as a community member, and this is what's important to my neighbors. So I don't want you to put too much pressure on yourselves. After we go through everything that is supposed to cross over, we'll go through these names again, and I will verify with this committee right now before we get off the call. We're all
Okay.
still good with this name. We're all still good with this name. We're all still good with this name because we still have to do the green boxes. And then we will make sure that we agree on a final list together too, Betsy. Okay?
Okay. Yeah, that helped too,
Okay. Yeah.
moving forward to number one, they're sorry, no. So the two, because they got to at least to a two. Got it. All right, let's move on to anything more from box two that somebody wants to recommend get it in potentially into the final list.
Maybe Northport. I'm thinking about the question about would it be co-opting, but then maybe it was people from that community who recommended it. And so I would like to see it move forward.
Okay, thank you, Shahana. From what you
And
said,
Shahana, and Robert, before you go, Shahana, I think you raise a great flag where if we decide this is a part of our finalized for public hearing, then that's an opportunity for that community to also come out and express what they're feeling too. So again, just alleviating the pressure on you all because you all are such wonderful people and I know you want to get this right. And I'm so grateful that we have a public hearing too to help with these decisions.
okay, so that's 8 more that you move forward. Any more comments from box 2 or are we ready to move to box 3?
I see Angie's come on mute and then Robert has his hand up as well.
Thank you.
I'd like to put forth Northland. The neighborhood in which the school is located in is Northland Manor, and most of the children who attend the school live in that neighborhood.
Thank you. Robert?
Yeah, I was just wondering, is this also the time for us to respond if we have disagreements or other thoughts about the names that have been highlighted in green, or should we wait?
So this would have been the time. So if there were any that are green right now when the person would have proposed it, and even though that we might have moved on from it, if there's ones that you're not agreeing with right now, you can state that and state why. And then we will still go over the final list together to see what the consensus is of the group, because that's a part of the discussion. So Robert, is there one that's highlighted green that you would like to bring up a discussion point?
Yeah, I was just wondering now that all three of those north options are highlighted. I guess I was looking at Northside again and thinking about Southside Elementary, which just changed their name, made me think, would this mean we would be naming something that would then be changed again? And so I guess I have reluctance to put forward all three of the names starting with North, and then thinking critically, maybe North Side would be the one that I would want to think more critically about.
Really good point, Robert. The school board went through the process because they didn't want something just as generic as South Side, with recognizing what you said earlier. Oh, I'm entering the North Side, but is Northland or Northport? And does it really honor the criteria better too, right? Of being a geographic site or a landmark that you're in Northland or Northport, where the street and community is, whereas North Side is just a direction on a compass, kind of. Is everybody okay with dropping North Side?
Yeah, given these comments, I mean, I know that there's also a Northland Manor Park where I've played tennis outside. And so if Northland is the name of the neighborhood, then in my mind, it might make sense to drop both Northport and Northside.
I'm actually in agreement with that, to drop the Northport and Northside, now that I learned that Northland is what that area is actually called. I did not know that.
What about you, Shahana? You had said that Northport was a strong sense of the community and its organizing base and all, and its advocacy. What do you think about not going forward with Northport?
I didn't follow everything because I cut out for a second.
Okay.
So I don't understand. I think I understand dropping Northside because it's generic.
Mhm.
But what is the name of the neighborhood that was named before? That's
So
not a north. It's
so I
Manor
can
It's
something.
Northland Manor is the
I
name
Oh,
can
of the
say three,
neighborhood.
Northland Manor. Hmm.
and I can give a quick. I'll give a quick summary of what was said, Shahana, and then other people please drop in and elaborate. So the things I heard, Shahana, and taking notes were Northland, Northport, North Side. It came up that there are already existing buildings or neighborhoods. It's already named somewhere else. That has come up as a flag. Do we want something named after something that's already named after something else? One. And then two, is it too generic? That's another thing that's come up as a flag, especially for North Side, knowing that we just renamed a building called South Side. And then three, there was also folks where I do like that the neighborhood is called this, so having the school called this too. So we had
Yeah,
folks on both sides of the fence of something's already named this. Do we want to name the school this too?
yeah,
And
yeah.
or
Thank
something
you.
is named this, I would like it. And anybody else, please jump in.
I
We were
think
about
if Northland, oh, go ahead.
I was just saying, while you had cut out, we were thinking about de-greening all the Northland, Northport, and North Side, and I think keeping Northland, and I wondered only Northland, and I was wondering how you felt, Shahana, about de-greening Northport. I think we've all
Oh,
agreed.
yeah. I don't understand why Northland would stay on, but not Northport. It
Okay,
seems
so
like those are kind of similar.
let's keep Northland and Northport, but but not North Side. Everybody agreed on that?
Yes.
Okay, so
Let me make sure I understand. So we're getting rid of Northland, correct?
no,
No.
No,
just
thank
north
you.
side, just
I got to
north
go through
side.
one by one. Thank you. Are we getting rid of Northport?
No,
Thank you. We are getting rid of North Side.
yes,
So I'm going to unhighlight that. Got
right.
it. Thank you. I have to go through one by one. Thank you.
Okay, of course.
Okay.
All right, now are we ready to move down to the box three?
I was just going to mention Clarence Sherrod, and I happen to have not only read the research, but I feel like I lived the research. I happen to have seen him play basketball, both in high school and in college, because I was of the era. I also was worked with him on labor relations between the teachers union and the Madison schools when he was an attorney for the Madison schools, and he is certainly a personal success story and someone to note, but I don't know if he is of the significance of some of or many of the other names that we're considering. And so I'm just raising the question.
I think
Can I interrupt a minute? This has nothing to do with it, but my camera went out. Do I need to restart or can I just be blank for the rest of the meeting with no picture?
That's
You're
fine.
okay, Tiffany. Yes.
I'd have a very similar reaction to Nan. And I didn't work with him as closely as you did, Nan. But from a distance, I never came away with the reaction that he was an extraordinarily distinguished lawyer. I'm not saying he wasn't competent or wasn't a good guy and a good lawyer, but I'm not sure he rises to the level of significance of some of the other names we're considering.
After doing a little bit more research, and what's really resonating with me from this conversation also is about who's getting their flowers. I think I understand that this gentleman was also a giant in his hometown of Milwaukee. And he followed, I think, a kind of similar trajectory as my father, a star in Milwaukee as a high schooler, off to Madison for college, then to law school, then becoming an attorney. And I think renaming a school is an opportunity to give flowers to a more local person who's not a Gaylord Nelson level person who's gonna, probably have some other thing named after them at some point, or even an Ada Deer. And so I've loved learning more. about this person, having not done much study and not understood. I thought it was just that he was a good athlete and somebody wanted
Okay.
an athlete, you know.
Well, as power, I'm
So
going to use the
thank
power of the chair to say, let's,
Betsy, can I pause you for 1 second? I just want to confirm a detail that Tiffany shared. Tiffany, didn't you say he was a longtime volunteer as well at Lindbergh?
I don't know.
What I was reading, that's what it looked like. He tutored for math, and it looks like he tutored for math at Lindbergh.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's what I wanted to verify because I think that's also an important piece
Yeah.
of this conversation that I think we lost just with the robustness of it.
Right.
So, okay.
I was just say, as with power of the chair, I want to give the benefit of the doubt. And anyone, since we have a couple people on the committee who feel strongly about him, I'd like to keep Clarence Sherrod in the list. I wanted to ask Tiffany, and I don't want to put you on the spot about that, but there's three different bird flying names. You want to just go with one or two? I mean,
If
I
you
think
want to get rid of one, that's fine. You could narrow it down to two. I just want that option in there. And I know I didn't rank them as high because they weren't people. I didn't think we needed to discuss them because they were fairly clear, but I would like at least two of those going forward.
okay, which one? I mean, I've had trouble all along with whether they really are people, places, or concepts. So that
Right. That's the hard. Yes.
And
yes.
so I personally rank them all low because of that, but you do you. But I'm wondering if, I mean, I'm just thinking strategically, I think you'd be better off with just one or two, but not all three of them. And I don't know, Robin is the state bird. It has that going for it.
I rated all of the Ho Chunk names higher because it was very important to me that they were in the Ho Chunk language and that they came from the elders. And what I don't understand is the strategy around having only one. Maybe it gets more votes, but I would like to see more Ho Chunk names in the list that goes to the community.
Okay, well, we do have Yahara, and not a
Well, what
not
I
a
read about Yahara though too is it wasn't just a Native American name, and it's changed over the times, and it's like a conglomeration of how words have changed over time and how the language has evolved, so that it really isn't a true Native American name.
Okay.
And I'll add, and I know Robert's waiting, I'll add to the conversation, Yahira's in the green box, so we're not there yet. Yeah. And Yahira also has been discussed the other way as far as not doing it because it could be confusing because other things are named Yahira with emergency response. So if we could stick to the yellow box, and this is also one where I'm hearing two, and this is me now facilitating. I'm hearing two different ends still where some folks who are like, this is important to me. I'm hearing some folks saying, in weighing it with other things, it's not as important to me. We do need to hear from Robert. Yeah. I think also if Tiffany wants to narrow it down, that's your choice, Tiffany, and for us to come to consensus, and or if we're still on two ends, I do want to also offer that because Tiffany did work with the elders in our community regarding these names. I do feel that it's important that we still honor our elders that supported this process because they're also community voices as well. That's not me saying that it needs to be a certain amount or it needs to be all of them. I do want to flag that that is also community participation as well. Go ahead, Robert.
Yeah, I just wanted to share. I rated many of these highly, but especially the Firefly proposals. I think there was another one, at least on the spreadsheet, that's starts XORAJ. I'm not sure the pronunciation.
It's right here. It's the wildlife one. That's one's right here.
I'll make it purple so you can see it better. It also reads as a firefly in the context. But yeah, I would definitely support the Firefly names.
Okay. So using my Clarence Sherrod rule, let's move them all forward. And be respectful.
So I'm double confirming that we're moving forward the four. Am I also moving forward wildlife because I heard that from Robert, or no?
Well, I guess I would just like clarification because on the spreadsheet it says for that one.
Let me double check. while
it
we're
says
talking. Yeah.
lightning bug, firefly. So,
Let me double check right now that
but it also
form.
says to
Thank
reflect
you.
local environment and seasonal biology. So maybe we just need clarification with those two.
Well, the wildlife one was flagged for more research for Gail, and Gail couldn't be on with us today. So let me just double check what you're saying. I believe you totally. Wahura, WHRUHA is firefly. Oh, and the other one also says lightning bug firefly. I see what you're saying. So we potentially, it looks like we have two that mean firefly. So without having the additional research from Gail. So I guess, Chair, what I'd like to ask you is, excuse me, what I could do right now is between those two, I could see which one was the higher score. If we want to stick with one firefly name, or if we wanted to still move forward with both names, please let me know what you'd like for that, because maybe that can help nail down how many fireflies are also on the list.
Well, from the conversations today, I hear Robert, Tiffany, and Shahana having the strongest preference for these. So I will defer to the three of you. Which of these names, or all of them, did you want to move forward? All of them?
So right now the question is for Firefly, because we already agreed we're going to move the 4. Firefly comes up twice in our research. One of the names we asked for research for Gail, she's not here to provide it, but we do need to move a list forward. So the one that starts with a W, Firefly, WARUHA, that one scored at a 1.8, just also to help folks to understand. And again, we can move both forward. And then for the other one that starts with the X, that one scored a 1.8. So we can move forward with 2 fireflies, as Betsy is saying as chair. Thank you, Betsy. Or we could pick one that's synonymous with firefly, and then I just provided those scores.
Okay, so I'm going to go with we have the S1 for Robin, the W1 for Firefly, the W1 for Duck. And can we leave off the other one that says Firefly too? What are folks thinking? Just those 3? The Robin, the Duck, the Robin, the Firefly, and the Duck? Or do you want, Robert, did you want the other one as well?
Well, I guess I would, defer to the Ho Chunk community and just see, which of those two, I don't know,
And in
resonates
order to
strongly.
do
'Cause I
that,
just don't know that much about either of them, but I'm happy to do whatever the group thinks is best.
I think we should move all 4 of them forward to make sure that one doesn't get missed inadvertently.
Perfect.
To
All right,
go with what Robert said.
let's do it.
So clarity, it's more than 4 now. We're at 5. So we have Robin, we have wait, I'm sorry, am I counting wrong? I might be wrong here. That's why I'm talking out loud. Let me verbally process. Thank you, everybody. I might be the one wrong here. So we've got Robin, we've got Firefly, we've got Duck, and we now have Firefly number 2. Okay, thank you for letting me process that out loud. Thank you all. All right, so all 4 are moving forward. Great.
Good bounty. All right, box 3.
All right, moving on to box 3, and we'll start at box 3. We won't go to box 4 yet. So box 3, these were the ones that scored to be on the public hearing list automatically. However, based on our conversation, and I'll drop these in the chat too, Shahana. All right, there we go. Box 3. So Ada Deer, Clarence Kalen, those conversations that we just had, that discussion was more on the positive side. So for me, those would already go through because those were very positive, supportive conversations. The ones that were flagged were Dejope, spelled in the indigenous way, in Yahara River. Those would be the ones that would be up for conversation right now if we would want those to be removed, because there was opinions on both ends of that spectrum. So let's start with Dejope.
Okay, but you're saying Stubblefield, Hancock, and Sandhill Crane will automatically be on the list. They were not.
Correct.
They scored high enough, and they were not discussed. Nobody.
Yes, thank you for clarifying that, Betsy. Yep. So anything that's green is automatic, but the ones that are yellow were the ones you all had for discussion.
Okay. Nan, you had spoken positively about the Yahara. Did the discussion change your mind about that? or anyone?
And I know Cynthia also had a point about that too. Cynthia Moore did too. So
Cynthia, would you like to, no pressure, but just didn't know if anybody wanted to share.
Once again, it just comes back to like the full name that would be used. Is it Yahara River, or just being really thoughtful about, Yahara River Elementary School, just in terms of being very clear about like the location in terms of communication. I think a similar conversations have been had in terms of Cherokee Middle School, and it's really Cherokee Heights Middle School. And so the school is very, clear in that they want the full name used. So that's the only consideration I have for Yahara.
Yeah, and your point, Cynthia, lets me know that we can fiddle all day with Yahara River, Yahara Heights, but people are probably going to just call it Yahara. So, peeking ahead to number 4, and that there's another Yahara there, can we decide, do we want Yahara to move forward at all? And if so, both River and Heights, or just one, or just Yahara, or none. So we have 4 choices: no Yahara, Yahara River, Yahara Heights, both of them.
I would vote for none of them, but that's just me. I just think the Yahara River obviously connects the lakes. This is a good distance from the lakes. That's just my personal preference.
Well, they have to go forward because they were ranked high enough.
Oh, okay.
So
I don't have a strong feeling on Yahara or Yahara River.
Oh, Betsy, let me clarify. I'm saying even though they are ranked high enough, based on the discussion we had earlier, if you all would want any removed, we can still remove them.
Beg your pardon.
Yeah. Thank you, Betsy.
Thank you, Fred. Yeah. Thanks, Chelsea. All right. Based on the discussion, so that all the ones in the 2 green boxes are going to move forward unless, and it's not too late to fuss with something that's in the green boxes now, but we particularly talked earlier this morning about all the yellow ones. I heard, was there a feeling that we can drop Gaylord Nelson? If somebody said that, I think Nan felt strongly about keeping him. So again, I'm going to err on the side of, if even one of us wants it in, given what the scoring was too, let's include it and let the community and our second round of voting make the final decision on that. So is there any reason to, based on our discussions, that we don't want, there's a strong reason that we shouldn't put in anything in the number, from the number 3 box?
And Betsy, if I could clarify, Chair, thank you, because that's especially important. If we can't reach consensus because these are green, we would pass these forward, and then the public would also help us to make that final decision. So thank you very much, Betsy, for breaking that down.
As Chelsea mentioned, while we flagged these, there was pretty positive comments about all 5 of the yellows. There was some discussion about Governor Nelson, do we need another white guy? And were there others that we could, bring flowers to, because there are enough things named after Nelson already? And there was discussion about Yahara and Cherokee. I think we removed because of the confusion. So you can take that one off entirely, or whatever color you pick for that one.
So I'll make that red because the rest of the removals are red. So thank you, everybody.
Okay.
Are we looking at just box 3, or are we looking at box 4? Because I had some concerns and I flagged it, and I was one of the later flags about the Milton McPike name.
So I think we're in 3. Let's just do 3 and 4 now. I feel like we're in 3 and 4 now.
Yeah.
I feel like we're in 3 and 4. So let's stick with 3 and 4 because this will help be our final list. So.
I had concerns. Oops, sorry, my bird is not happy. I had some concerns reading about, like, not that I moved to Madison. I don't know this guy, like, after his whatever. So I have no, tie to him. And I know what happened was in the past, but 84 must have been a really rough year. And I wonder if we name a school after him, not to give him acolytes, but who might we make upset, or who we're excluding, or, because I read that the kid moved schools. I read that the one thing wasn't handled the right way. Who might we make feel isolated by naming a school after him?
After who?
Pike?
Yeah, McPike.
Okay.
And like I said, I moved, I didn't move to Madison until 2003. So most of my, I didn't have him as a principal. I didn't know him as a guy. Like, I have no relationship to this man whatsoever. But like reading some of the stuff, like the homophobic stuff and the sexual assault stuff, granted it happened in the 80s and I'm sure he changed his tune. Who might that be isolating in the community? Who would have, like, does she still live here? Does she have relatives in that area? Sorry, I have birds in the background. But like, who might we be isolating if we named a school after that guy? Who might not feel comfortable? Like, that was my wondering. Because I read the whole thing on censorship and being in the library. I'm like, oh, red flag, red flag, red flag for me automatically, or freedom of speech or whatnot. Granted, you take with a grain of salt because that was 40 some years ago. But at the same time.
I personally am not familiar with any of those allegations. I don't know if they were substantiated.
Gail had them in her research, and you had to find the research
okay.
about it. And I read them, and I'm like, oh, freedom. And that's one of my values as a librarian, about freedom of speech and freedom of press, and just being part of the LGBTQ community. And like, it was concerning, even though it was 40 years ago when it wasn't as prevalent and these things were a bigger deal. And like, trying to find a good balance concerned me.
I think the other thing about McPike, I don't have an opinion about this. I just want to put into the discussion pot, was there is already a Milt McPike Park on the east side, and East High has named their field house after him. So in the category of enough, accolades. So normally, McPike would go forward. Are there anybody in addition to Tiffany who have reservations about this or about McPike's name, or should we let the community and our second round take care of it?
I raised my hand because I don't feel strongly about him continuing forward. I would associate him with high schools rather than elementary school education. And so I think we have better choices that are maybe a better fit for this school.
And I would confer with your comments that he was absolutely connected to East High School. And I think less so to specifically Lindbergh, and that we have better choices. I think it's really fitting at the high school level and a little bit of a stretch for Lindbergh Elementary.
Okay, so in my one veto is enough. Is there anyone who would like to keep McPike on the list?
I think that there are big chunks of the Madison community who will be upset to not see Milton McPike's name on a list, knowing that knowing that it has been submitted. And thank you for lifting up these important issues. I did not follow all of the links to their final destinations and study everything deeply, so I'm not familiar with these allegations. And it's an important part of the story. It is not a part of the story that's known in the wider community, and so I think that it's important that we start to do that part of the work as well, so that there's more understanding in the broader community why this name does not move forward at whatever time it doesn't move forward. I imagine it's a name that will continue to be submitted for school renamings.
Right. So with that,
and Betsy, can I add as well? So I want to say, as a district representative, I honor Gail's research, and I have not received any confirmation from the district. And so what I would like to do, or one, I do need to go back to our district representatives around what has been unearthed and what can be confirmed. And I think because it is on two ends of the spectrum, I'm hearing Betsy, I'm thinking that we still move it forward as I work to confirm some things based on Gail's research, because the list, his name has been vetted several times over now at this point, and no one has flagged it for me as an issue within the district. And I still honor what Gail has researched. And I feel like I need to do some verification checking, if that's okay. And I saw Cynthia go off mute as well.
Yeah, I was going to say something very similar to what you were saying. You said it far more eloquently, but yeah, I think that there's probably more research that needs to be done for the same reasons you just outlined, Chelsea, of that the name has passed through before. And so we would need probably further vetting and going back into that piece of people in the community, wanting to see that name move forward, especially if multiple people submitted it. So I agree, there's more information that we
And
need
I
to
want to
find out.
thank you, Cynthia. And I want to name here because the public will be watching this meeting. I want to make it very clear to the public that once I receive verification and confirmation on whatever could be unearthed, I will take further action that's needed, and a disclaimer would be posted publicly regarding either way. And Tiffany, also thank you very much for raising this as a concern, and making sure we are fully inclusive. And then, like I said, I will work to confirm what has been unearthed, and then I will make sure that this committee knows and the public knows what is verified and what is not.
I
Okay.
greatly appreciate that.
Okay, so we're moving all those forward. So by my count, what is the decision about Gaylord Nelson and about the Yaharas?
And while you all are doing that, I'm going to go on the detailed agenda and start typing them out for us, Betsy, so you can see the total list, and then we'll double confirm it together. Okay, so go ahead with your discussion.
Right, because we have about 23 or 24 names still. And I just point out Elvium got theirs down to 10. But that's them, we're us. So again, is there any reason not to move Gaylord Nelson forward? I personally don't see, he scored high, whether he's ultimately in the thing, but I don't see any that we wouldn't move it forward. Agreed? Folks? I mean, I didn't hear anything negative about him. Might not have been people's preference, but he scored high, and fair is fair. Okay, and then what about the Yahara business? You have Yahara River and Yahara Heights. Should both of them go forward, or should we consolidate them into Yahara? Again, I don't know how we could drop them. They both scored high.
I'm not stuck to Yahara River, Yahara Heights, Yahara whatever, but I thought Yahara something should go forward.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
think given the river conversation, the proximity to the river, I would be for Yahara Heights just because that's more of a general type of geographic type location versus the actual river, which I think someone had mentioned is a little bit of a distance away.
Yeah. I was thinking that's the name for O'Keefe and Marquette because it's 10 yards from them. Okay, so I don't know when Chelsea floats back up, we'll ask her, do we have the right to drop Yahara River, even though it scored high? But
I'm still here. I'm still here. And yes, you do. If the group wants to drop it down to one Yahara based on the discussion, we can do that.
Okay, so let's go with Yahara Heights. Knowing that it'll
Okay.
soon, if the school was named that, it would be called Yahara anyway. But yeah. All right. So let's give Chelsea a few seconds to get the second drum roll and see what our 23 or 24 names are. And if this group wants to drop any of those, just to make it easier on the public. You seem like a gal who can multitask, Chelsea. So in the Elvium, did it just like their boxes were smaller? They had fewer names in it, or they got to
They
this?
had a lot more red. So like half of their list dropped off in the first round.
Okay.
And correction, we said we're taking off Yahara Heights or Yahara River. Just remind me.
Reversed, taking off Yahara River, keeping Yahara Heights.
Thank you. Let me fix that. So yeah, they had a lot more in the red. They had none that reached bucket 4.
None.
And so that's just how none reached bucket 4. So that's how it just came out differently.
Okay.
Them.
Okay.
So Yahara River needs to be red. Yahara Heights stays.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
9. We got Dijon. The Ira River's on.
And I realize it's 11:02, so hopefully we can wrap this up in the next 10 minutes, people.
Yeah, I'm going to need to leave more like probably around 11:05.
Okay. Ouch.
I'll
20
try to stay on
is
as long as I can, but
Okay. You're not playing tennis outside today.
no.
Can I ask a clarifying question?
Please.
Are the names and the categories that are displayed in the document that we're looking at, the renaming rubric, are we now keeping them scored that way in our next proposal to whoever we pass this to?
My understanding is that we put these out to the public without saying, well, it really was just a 2.
Okay.
Yeah, that
So
we're
the ranking is not included in how we send this list along?
given what I saw about the Elvium names.
no.
I'll let Chelsea answer that. It's just going to be 23 or whatever we narrow it to today. Here's the list. The 8 of us know this didn't rise very high amongst us, but that's the point of the public, community. Oh, it met the criteria, and we thought just a 2, but wow, now that I've heard from the public, I think it's going to be in my top 4. So what the next stages are potentially yet in the next 5 minutes, we may reduce the number down from the 23-ish. That's about a list. Then we go to with this list that Chelsea's about to put up, take it to the community for the hearing next Thursday and for comment for the 2 weeks following that. We vote again, and then we come back together and we narrow it down to 4 to send to the school board with a finger on our number 1.
And of the 4, 2 have to be a prominent local person per the policy. Okay, so right now I just put up the 22. I also put them in the chat. So we have Alfred M. Gorham, Clarence Sherrod, Laurel Clark, Northland, Northport, the indigenous word for robin, song Q, the indigenous word for firefly, the indigenous word for duck. Okay, got it. I'll correct that. Thank you. Willa Beatrice Brown, the indigenous word for wildlife/firefly, Ada Deer, Clarence Kalin, Clyde Stubblefield, and I might have mistyped some of these because I was trying to do them quick. Darlene Hancock, Sandhill Crane, DeJoe, Gaylord Nelson, Jeffrey Clay Erlinger, Milton McPike, Shirley Abramson, and Yahira Heights.
Abrahamson. Okay.
Thank you. Abrahamson. Thank you.
I don't want people to think it's my mother.
Yeah. So that is our list of 22 that would go to public hearing for folks to comment on and provide written statement.
Is there anybody here that, just to make it simpler for the public, that we think we could, for whatever reason, is one that we could remove or 2?
And I do see in the chat that Shahana has put that she thinks that this is a great list.
Okay. I'm just thinking about what you've said in the past, that there were never more than like 12 or 15 names even submitted. And from
I mean, it's amazing that you all have even gone from 51 to 22, right? Like that's a huge feat.
Yeah.
That's a huge feat.
Yeah, I'm cool with this. I just, want to offer people that opportunity to.
Cynthia has to go. Cynthia, before you go, are you okay with the list?
Yes, I'm okay with the list. So yeah,
Thank you,
everyone.
And then Fred, I know you have to hop off. Fred, are you okay with this list?
I am. And
okay.
And I'm going to say goodbye as well as Cynthia.
Okay. Got it. And Mary said it's good for her too. Thank you, Mary. Anyone else who needs to hop off, please confirm if you're happy with the list so that we have that documented.
And before I forget, there's no meeting next week. Is that right?
Correct. And so next week, because what will happen, and actually since half of the group has said they're okay with the list, Chair, I think we still go with what you've been doing as far as we're in different places. So let's let the public help us to decide. Okay, so our next steps will be you're going to get the final list. You're also going to get the press release so that you can share that also amongst your community. There's going to be blasts on all the district websites. I'm going to be working with principals also to get the information out. It'll be blast on our social media, and then it's also going to all the local press as well to garner as much engagement on Thursday, the 23rd as possible. We will not be meeting because that is when the public will be reviewing our final list. They'll then go to public comment. There's a 14-day window in which they're able to provide additional comment through the website. That's all going to be spelled out in the blurbs that I'll give to you all as well. And then our next meeting is August 12th from 9 to 11. Before the 12th, Betsy and I will be working hard to get the public comment to you, both the video and also a summary, because then on the 12th, we will be revoting to bring to light our top 4. So then that can go to the board. Our goal is to submit to the board those 4 names, up to 4 names the week of August 17th. And then the board would then be able to go to final vote on the 24th. So our next meeting is not until August 12th, and I'll make sure that the calendar updates reflect that.
Okay, so can I just clarify, because that was going to be my question. We're not meeting the 22nd, the 29th, or August 5th. That
Correct. Because that is the public hearing period in which the public can provide comment. Thank you, Tiffany. Yep.
Perfect.
And just so you know, the master calendar already has it kind of structured that way, but not totally, because I had to change the public hearing date based on feedback. But I'm also going to update the master calendar too. So you'll have that too on top of the calendar invites.
That's what I needed to know.
Okay.
Perfect. Then I have a vacation that's easy to work around.
Good. Oh, I'm so glad you're taking vacation.
I'm like, if I was in Disney, I'm like, I can join the meeting, but just know I don't know what'll be in the background, but that'll make it easy. Perfect. Thank you.
Chair, with who we have remaining, even though folks have signed up, can we ask for a formal motion just for this list to go to public hearing, please?
Yes. I would like to entertain a motion to send these 22 names to the public hearing and for public comment.
I would like to make that motion. This is Tiffany.
Tiffany moved.
I second.
That was
Mary.
Who
Yes.
seconded? Any further discussion about the 22?
I'm happy to proceed.
Sorry.
Okay. Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye or raise your hands.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? All right. That concludes our business for today. I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Okay.
Agreed.
Mary
I'll
moves.
I second it.
Nan seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Aye.
We may close the recording. Thank you, everyone. Stay cool. Please tell your friends and family about the public hearings and the 14 days for the comments. And I will see all your faces. You won't see mine at the public hearing. Maybe you'll see some of each other's. And I will see you back on August 12th. Thanks. Big shout out for Chelsea and all the work she's done, and all of you for having done those things. And there you go, Chelsea. You got 2 of
And I'm going to stop the recording at 11:10. And I just really appreciate the depth of conversation. I mean, you talk about a master class around a diverse group coming together and really pushing for a community-led experience. I'm just so grateful to all of you. So, all right, stopping the recording.
All right, Chelsea, go take a nap. Thank you very much.